How to create a pitch for a product. Are you ready to start selling without being pushy? Right? There's a great way to create a lot of excitement around your product without being the weird pushiness that classic salespeople can sometimes do. I've sold millions of dollars online and offline. I'm going to teach you in this video more about how I do that. Let's dive in. One of my very first sales coaches was actually a guy that was teaching me how to be a door-to-door salesman. I was a door-to-door salesman for 2 years, and then I was a telemarketer for a while as well, and I got pretty good at both of them. I like sales. I like pitching. In fact, if I've not pitched something in a while, I start to feel it. I'm like, I have to pitch something. Okay, my first sales coach, though, he taught me sales. He said, you need to think of sales as like a big old quiver on your back of just arrows. And he's like, what's gonna happen is these people are gonna come to you and say no. And you want them to say no because they're going to show you where to go. And you're like, oh, I've got an arrow for that no. Boom. And you release them. And he's like, don't release all your arrows all at once. Let them guide what arrows you release. Okay. Now that's an interesting way to think about sales, but it really helped me. So what I'm going to show you here is a few principles on this whiteboard back here on how to follow that and what you're really doing when you're selling so it doesn't feel awkward. Because be honest, tell me right now in the comments, how many of you guys have sold something that you're like, that felt like I had to push them? You know what I mean? That slightly dirty feeling that you've had. I get it. I've done it too before I understood what I was doing. I want to avoid that, and I know you do as well. I have definitely sold stuff that I was like, that seemed like it was not what they didn't want. They just wanted me to leave. They didn't want to buy, right? And you got that weird feeling afterwards. Let me show you how to not do that. Let's dive in more. All right, now the first thing you need to understand is that there has never been a product in the history of the world that has sold itself. Products don't sell themselves, no matter what person is trying to convince you that. This product's so good, all you gotta do is get it in front of people and it sells itself. It's garbage. Even Steve Jobs held up the iPod for the first time. Even though his message was short, it was still 1,000 songs in your pocket, right? There's still a message that sold and gave value to the product. So why do people buy? Think about a sales message and an offer. They actually buy, they work together, but they actually buy because of the message, not the offer. They think it's the offer, but what's fascinating is it's your job as a salesperson to create desire and for them to go, oh my gosh, this is actually what my life could be like if I had that thing. And so what's funny is if you think about the relationship between a sales message and an offer, all that's happening is an offer fulfills on the promise that the sales message made. Ooh, there we go. So I like to create my sales messages and my offers kind of at the exact same time. In fact, I've noticed that if I don't, they usually don't work very well together. They talk to each other. They work together. One creates promise, one fulfills on it. One says this is what life's going to be like. One helps them get that outcome. Okay, but when you think about it, they're actually not buying products. They're buying a message. They're buying an idea. And the product's just fulfilling on that. So get it out of your head that your thing's so good that, oh, I don't need to worry about the sales message stuff. I don't need to worry about how to create a pitch. I know you're watching this video and I'm glad that you are. I'm just reinforcing the point that they really don't buy your product. They buy your message and the offer just fulfills on it. Steve, that sounds like semantics. No, it's made a lot of money. Okay, so let me show you how I actually craft these things and put them together. There is a really great author. His name's Ryan Holiday. He's one of my favorite authors. He's got a great book called Trust Me, I'm Lying. And in there, he exposes a lot of how news is made. And he said, you need to understand that whoever controls content controls belief. Whoa, wait a second. Think about like World War II, World War I, whole countries being led astray just because of the stories they're being told. Fascinating. Whoever controls content controls belief. That's a power, that's true in marketing as well. So think about this. So why do we actually buy an offer, right? We buy an offer because the sales message created a promise, right? Sunshiny day, rainbows, the places where we want to go in our head. And it's the offer that does the fulfilling on that. So we have to spend a lot of time on the sales message. And it's easy to tell when an entrepreneur has become so obsessed with their product. Oh my gosh, my thing is the greatest product ever. But they have spent literally zero time on this piece. And then they wonder why they don't make any money. This isn't why they buy anyway. Okay, you have to get good at the sales message creation piece. And why, right? Whoever controls content controls belief. Let's talk about that, right? So when we actually are listening to a sales message, what the sales message is doing, a sales message is literally changing beliefs. This isn't some theory thing, it's actually changing beliefs, okay? A sales message is changing beliefs because what the sales message is made of is story. Belief stands on top of story. And so think about this, and it's maybe a bit of an extreme term here, but think about this. What happens when someone in a religion stops reading the scripture? their belief changes. It's as simple as that. Story installs and maintains belief. The same thing is true in marketing. So your marketing message is a bunch of stories that literally change somebody's beliefs. Literally, okay? So it's changing beliefs, and it's changing beliefs about the outcome of their life fulfilled by the offer. Does that make sense? So what we need to get good at is understanding what stories to tell. Now, I'm telling you a massive caveat here, all right? This is my release before God. If you're a dirtbag with this, and you go off doing stuff that you shouldn't, you know what I'm talking about, all right? And you're not moral and ethical with this, that is not my fault. I've had people go off and do that because I'm not kidding you. You are actually jacking with people's beliefs. Now, there's a great way to do that, and there's a terrible way to do that, okay? So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to figure out exactly what beliefs need to get changed so that the necessity of my offer gets really, really strong and high. I can feel right now already. That's some spicy topic right there, right? That's why marketing is such a big deal. Marketing has very little to do with the product. It's about perceptions. Marketing is about ideas and beliefs, not products. You don't actually launch products, you launch ideas. So what are you launching? Story. You're launching story, which creates promise, the offer. So let's dive into what kinds of stories do you actually tell? All right, now cornerstone to every single sales message is a story you've likely heard named. It's called the origin story. It's not my term. The origin story is a story that says, how did you originally go from where you were to where you are? That's it. How did we go from where you were to where you are right now? What's that story? What made you realize, oh my gosh, I'm not getting the outcomes that I want in life. Oh my gosh, I'm not where I want to go. Oh my goodness, you know what? And this might be as simple as a car purchase. Like, I'm like, you know what? I don't like this car anymore. And that becomes the story. So then your belief about it gets big and you're like, I need a new car. When in reality, maybe you didn't. Okay. The story just changed your belief and now you see the car differently. Okay. So this origin story, think about it in terms of this. How did I come up with the idea that my product is a good idea? What's the story? What made you say, oh my gosh, I need to leave where I am to go where I want to be? There's a classic script the internet marketing world uses called the Hero's Two Journeys. And it is the script, a guy's name is Michael Hague. And Michael Hague is a famous script writer. Will Smith was taking one of his courses, said, hey, I love your scripting style. Come help me write the movie Hitch. So they wrote the movie Hitch using this Hero's Two Journeys script, which talks a lot about this right here. And pretty much every Hollywood movie afterward uses the exact same script. You can read about it. It's really fascinating stuff, though. So basically, it comes into this. We want to know, first off, why you went to go and actually get this brand new product, why you went to go create this new outcome, this new service, this new info product, this new e-com, whatever it is. It doesn't need to be this big, massive thing. But there's really two things going on right here. Number one, there is the story, like I said, of you leaving, right? Frodo left the Shire. That's the first journey in the Hero's Two Journeys. The first journey is the actual one of achievement. It's why are you actually leaving? Okay, why did you leave? Frodo's like, man, I gotta drop that ring in Mordor, right? But we don't care about him unless he goes through the other journey. The second journey that's happening is this journey of transformation. Okay, the journey of transformation is how the individual character changes and develops. You see a good example of this in the movie Cars with Lightning McQueen. Remember, he goes to win the Piston Cup, and right as he's about to win, remember, he stops right at the line, turns back around, and pushes across the other guy. And we go, that was a good movie. Why do we do that? He came to go, he was going to, the journey of achievement was right in front of him. The reason we care about the movie is because we saw the second one happen, the journey of a transformation. So when you're telling your origin story about, how does this relate, Steve? The Hero's Two Journeys is a great scripting style for telling any kind of sales message about your offer. Why did you come up with your product? Why did you come up for your service? What is the story? What is it that you actually set out to do? And then we have to hear the second one. How did you personally transform and change as an individual along that journey? Now we care. We cared a little bit before. Yeah, thanks, Frodo. Appreciate it. But then we got the final line. I hate that ending of Lord of the Rings. Drives me crazy. Gandalf? It's like 15,000 endings to that movie, right? You know what I'm talking about. Okay, but we have to see it or we don't care as much. That transformation that's going on right there is a big deal. And people who don't talk about that, your sales message can start to feel a little bit pushy or chauvinistic or look what I achieved. And we don't feel that way if instead we also see with the backdrop of look how I changed. And we need to know what that is. That is a cornerstone story for every single product you sell. Hey guys, before I go into this last part here, which is very, very key, please hit the like and the subscribe button. And I'd love to know in the comments the worst pitch you have ever experienced. I want to know, and leave the names out, man. Don't put any private data, no sensitive data. Don't call out or slam anyone. But what's the worst pitch you have ever seen in your life where they just truly did not understand any of this stuff and you felt like they were pushy and you felt like they were really trying to, they made you mad? What's the worst pitch you've ever endured? All right, guys, let's go into what happens when someone starts hearing your origin story. They hear this story and they like get halfway sold. I don't know, let's say this is like halfway sold. And then they get to this spot where they jump in and they say, yeah, right. And they throw these big flags up. They throw these big objections up that say, you know what? I'm gonna stop us right there because I don't believe you and I think you're full of garbage and I gotta see some proof here. And you're like, okay, that's totally fine. By the way, this is natural, okay? This is natural. I've noticed that of the people that do buy, about half of them come just from hearing your origin story, the other half coming from doing what I'm telling you right here, okay? So what you wanna do is you wanna document all of the things that are keeping people from progressing. I'll give you a quick example. One of the reasons why I was such a good door-to-door sales guy was because and sales guy in general, is because I knew that in the first few weeks, I would hear the first 3 to 5 objections that I would ever hear. So my first 2, 3, 4, or 5 weeks, I'm gonna hear the first 3 to 5 objections on the doors that I will ever hear. So what does that mean I should do as a smart salesperson and marketer? It means I should come up with a rebuttal to the most common 3 to 5 objections that I'm probably ever going to hear. Everyone thinks they're unique butterflies. They're really not. The brain's pretty similar across the board, okay? After a while, you really don't hear anything new. That's why I can kind of tell probably what most of your comments will be before you say them sometimes. I've been playing the game a long time, all right? So when I go out and I start creating a sales message, I become the worst heckler on planet Earth to my own product. And I come up with a list of the top objections and top things that people, yeah, right. Dude, your eyeballs are way too big for that to be true. I don't know. You see what I'm saying though? And I come up with what those are, and then all I do is create a little mini story. And I come up with several of them. Mini story, mini story, mini story, and I get right back on track for the actual main event and towards the sale. So just a nutshell, 30,000 foot view, show you exactly what I'm talking about here. Here's how it really happens. I'm gonna tell my origin story, then there's gonna be a phase of my script that I answer their objections. Then I just softly give them a call to action. Hey, here's the offer and here's where to go to get started. And then I just give them a reason to act now. What is a little scarcity? Oh, maybe you only have 10 of the thing you're selling. Let them know. That'll make them move, right? Maybe there's a little urgency. You know what? I only accept 5 students a week. Like, oh, cool. That's a little urgency. That gives them enough move and enough forward and enough future pacing and enough, hey, here's what the promise of a new life could be through the product to actually get into action. This right here can shortcut you 80% of what it actually takes to be good at sales pitch writing. Hey guys, if you're like me and you know that sales is one of the most prestigious careers on this entire planet, oink, go to capitalismswag.com. We have some cool shirts in there. One of my favorites we have right now is one that says resting pitch face. You heard me correctly, resting pitch face. And it's meant to be a call out to those who are salespeople like myself. You can get it for free. You just pay shipping. Go to capitalismswag.com.